When first stepping into web scraping, it can feel like navigating a digital maze. Knowing where to practice or what languages to use can be challenging. This video will be your introductory guide to web scraping. We'll show you our recommendations for the best web scraping languages and which websites you can target to learn. When choosing a web scraping language, some things to consider are the size of your project, available libraries, performance, the learning curve for using the language, its ability to scrape dynamic content, and documentation. First, Python. The language has one of the largest communities of developers and users and is the easiest to use. It's one of the top choices for web scraping. Python is dynamically typed, making it relatively fast and light on resources. Creating a Python scraper is a breeze. It uses new lines for commands, while other languages often use semicolons or parentheses, meaning Python is an excellent choice for scrapers, whether you're a seasoned pro or a total beginner. Versatility is Python's middle name, especially regarding web scraping libraries and frameworks. Requests is Python's standard for sending HTTP requests, and you can customize it by adding headers, cookies, and other parameters. Moreover, Python doesn't rest on laurels. The Python Software Foundation regularly releases new versions with additional features, bug fixes, and security measures. Overall, it's one of a few languages that works well for small to large-size projects and is used by both skilled users and beginners. Node.js is a JavaScript runtime and a second popular option for web scraping. The runtime's primary focus is building web applications, but with the growing popularity of JavaScript-rendered websites, it has become irreplaceable for dynamic web scraping. Node.js isn't just good, it's the heavyweight champ behind web giants like Netflix, PayPal, and Uber. Its non-blocking I/O model can handle many connections, making it perfect for scraping through multiple pages without missing a beat. If you're familiar with JavaScript and CSS, Node.js is relatively easy to learn. It's a multifaceted language capable of expressing itself in fewer lines of code than the alternatives. Additionally, it has an active, fast-growing community of developers that act as a support crew, so you always have someone to turn to. Node.js has great libraries and frameworks for scraping dynamic websites. You can go with Cheerio, which is great for parsing HTML documents, or Puppeteer, a popular tool for controlling a headless Chrome browser. That means you can fully automate most browser interactions, like filling out forms, moving the mouse, and waiting for the page to load. Keep in mind that Node.js uses a lot of computing power, so it isn't the best choice if you want to scrape a large amount of data. Ruby is a chameleon of coding languages that seamlessly blends features from Perl, Smalltalk, Eiffel, Ada, and Lisp. It is used primarily for building web applications, but web scrapers found its strengths lie in scraping HTML web pages with CSS selectors. This language includes the package management system RubyGems, which allows you to easily install, manage, and share libraries or packages in your project. Performance-wise, Ruby is more of a tortoise than a hare in regards to its speed. However, it thrives in downloading and parsing small data chunks. It just does it at a slower, steadier pace. With Ruby, you'll need to write more code for the same web scraping task than Python, but it's relatively simple to use and read. Also, the documentation isn't extensive, so fixing an error will take time if your scraper breaks. But since it's an old programming language, you'll find many discussions on forums to help you out. Even though Ruby has fewer tools in its toolbox for web scraping than Python, it still has an impressive collection of assets like Nokogiri. The library for parsing HTML elements is popular among the web scraping community for its ability to deal with broken or malformed HTML. Ruby is an excellent choice for small-sized projects, such as ones you would share with your team in a cloud environment. As I said before, web scraping can be difficult if you're new to the subject. That's why it's essential to get the practice where you can. Luckily, there are places where you can sharpen your skills. Up first is ToScrape, a web scraping sandbox ideal for beginners and advanced scrapers. It's one of the most popular websites to scrape and try out your web scraping tools. ToScrape has two parts. They are books.toscrape.com and quotes.toscrape.com. Books.toscrape.com introduces fundamental skills like extracting data. It only includes static content, so you can use simple libraries like requests and Beautiful Soup. Quotes.toscrape.com contains multiple endpoints with advanced challenges. It can teach you to log in and scrape JavaScript-generated content with lazy loading and delayed rendering. Simple web scraping libraries may not be enough to complete the tasks, so you may want to try a headless browser. Another great sandbox for learning web scraping, Scrape This Site, strongly resembles ToScrape. We recommend covering static data collections with Python if you're a beginner. You can learn some basics like scraping tables or titles. For more advanced data retrieving, this site is also a great place to learn how to scrape dynamically generated content based on JavaScript. You're likely to run into gotchas when you start scraping real sites. So go ahead and practice spoofing headers, handling logins and session cookies, passing CSRF tokens, and solving other challenges. Yahoo Finance is a perfect place to practice web scraping with real-world relevance. It's a treasure trove of millions of up-to-date financial records, offering the most recent stock market and company data. The website's design makes it easy to dive into since all the elements are in tables and on separate pages, so you could practice scraping tables and charts. You can pull stock and financial statement data, price changes, and do some number crunching. I'd recommend structuring web data into a CSV file format or an Excel spreadsheet to calculate your stock returns in Python. Wikipedia is an ocean of information. It's an ideal place to practice handling identifiers, delve into content units, and refine your skills by scraping tables, images, and graphs. However, you need to stay alert. If you don't tread carefully, you may risk getting blocked. If you'd like to scrape forums, roll up your sleeves and visit Reddit. The site follows a specific URL format so that users can post images, videos, links, and similar content. You can extract any comment or image with the most upvotes, identify the most recurring keywords in a subreddit, or analyze the public sentiment behind a piece of news that you find interesting. Web scraping a forum might lead you to a successful business idea, and at the same time, you'll practice some basics like extracting links, images, usernames, and comments. However, beware of the Reddit redesign. Stick to the old layout at old.reddit.com for a smoother scraping experience. And a word to the wise, Reddit's monetized API might tap into your budget with each request. Navigate this forum playground with care. The potential rewards are significant, but so are the costs. Thanks for watching. We hope we provided some helpful information so you can start your web scraping journey. Check out our video on the best web scraping tools, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content.